Good morning, good morning. How are we all this morning? I just wanted to pop in really and have a conversation about the Great Awakening. Because for me, there's a lot of mixed messages right now in the collective. And when I connect to the collective energy, I feel like that there isn't a lot of compassion or respect at the moment for others. And I think we're actually missing the bigger picture. So I've actually written something because it came through this morning because I couldn't sleep. So the Great Awakening that is happening right now in the collective, it is not COVID-19. This is actually spiritual gaslighting. As much as people think the Great Awakening is about COVID-19 and having greater awareness, yes, that is happening in the collective. But the Great Awakening is actually happening to you as an individual, and it's about you awakening to self. All aspects of self that we can no longer ignore. COVID-19 and the world events that are happening right now as a result of COVID-19, the separation and the divide is nearly a portal to make us stop and think. For those following spiritual leaders that tell you that this is the Great Awakening, that's completely wrong. This is the activation for a softer opening to take stock and to stop and connect to self. As civilization right now will get more and more polarized in the coming months, and we need to really start to connect to ourselves, as we're going to start to see more separation and more divide, and it isn't going to go away anytime soon. Yes, we do have our rights, totally, and we do all have our own beliefs. But we also need to remember as individuals that work on this, we all walk on this earth together, we have to remember respect of all mankind, no matter whatever their view is, and humanity, as we're all sharing the same planet at the same time, and we're all shifting through this collectively. And I want to say, whether that be earthly, whether that be a human experience, whether that be an animal experience, whether that be like a nature experience, like we're all in this actively, collectively together. And there's no way, we were all born at this time for a particular reason, whether we like it or not. As more and more structures break down around us, and systems start to fail, i.e. health, hospitals, institutions, government, authority, power, in the external world, that is also happening in our internal world. And so when I say internal world, it's about your beliefs, it's about your myths, it's about the things that have kept you separated, the things that have kept you thinking you're safe, the things that you actually need to start working through and really feeling into at a deeper heartfelt level. I was watching Breakfast this morning, and I actually felt it. I felt when what's her name? When there was a conversation about what's her name? She's a beautiful Maori woman, and it's just not here at the moment, but she spoke about how all of the emails that they'd received of the week of Maori Week, and I actually thought to myself, you know what that causes more separation. We actually are all on this planet at the one time having a human experience, and we need to respect each other's views. As more things become more polarized, we actually need to connect to ourselves and actually do our inner work. And if we don't agree with something, we have to start asking ourselves, why do I not agree with that? What is that? What's that triggering in me? why is there a cause for more separation? And, you know, this is about, as things are collapsing externally, we need to be collapsing those same viewpoints and those same things that have kept us separated, that have kept us in a conflict, that have kept us segregated, that have kept us in fear. We need to be having that same conversation and starting to break down some of that internal belief system and starting to look at it from a different veil, from a different view. And, you know, this is happening in the external world, but it's also happening in our internal world, and it's also happening within the spiritual realm. The spiritual realm, everything is collapsing and becoming more potent and more level and more in balance. And everything right now is really being accelerated and running up in our faces in the collective. So right now, you know, the continued messaging in the collective energy is built on fear and separation. This is going to be so greatly amplified in the next couple of months and throughout this year. And, you know, this is why we need to start to break down and start to feel into why are we feeling fear? Why are we feeling separation? Why are we feeling you know, the triggers that are coming up for us as an individual? This is about individual work. Can't stress that enough. Not what you're being told through mainstream media, through you know, and we're going to start to find our voice, and we need to start having challenging conversations with possibly some of the people that we love and hold so dearly, because it's about, if we're to get through this, and we're all to get through this to live in a life of harmony and greater vibration and love on the planet, we're actually going to start to have to deepen into our own self. So when we know who we are and what we stand for, the conversations are easier for us to voice and stand in our own sense of sovereignty. And this is somewhere where, you know, this stuff is going to be activated in families. I know for my own self, some of this is being activated in my family. This is about us really, really having a deeper sense of not what we've been told, but who we actually are. Who we are. And I don't think everyone at the moment even has a friggin' clue actually who they are. And we've got to remember, we're all going through the same journey at the same time. We need, you know, and when I say this, we need to become more aware of how and what and who contracts our own energy field, that makes us want to go into our shell, that makes us start to become more small, that keeps us in a state of fear. You know, whether that be, you know, watching the media, whether that be social media, whether that be some of the people that we're hanging out with that we thought were our dear friends. We need to start really, really become more consciously aware of this. Because if ways that we need to start lifting our own individual vibration. And this is by becoming still with self. By doing our inner work. By grabbing a journal and asking yourself some questions that you haven't really asked before. Like, how do I want to show up in the world and live in harmony? And what does that look like? And then from that, well, what needs to change around me? What views do I need to change? What do I need to break down? What myths do I need to let go of? What belief systems are no longer serving me? How can I live a more aligned life with myself at a deeper whole, at a deeper wholeness? Because if we don't start making these changes, you know, what type of earth are we not only leaving for our children, but what type of role models are we actually being to our children? So other ways you can raise your vibration is by dancing, by meditation, by journaling. Can't stress that enough. Journaling is probably the most powerful tool that there is. Energy can be created or destroyed, and it can only be changed from one person to another. So when I say that, it's like when we are in conversation with someone, we're exchanging energy. You know, whether we want to shout and say, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, or just take them where they're at and realize that they actually don't have the full awareness. Or have a deeper conversation and hold space to help activate them to start seeing it from a different point of eye, for a different set of eyes or a different veil. This is about us educating ourselves, but this is also, and letting some of this stuff go, but this is also about us collectively holding space for other people to come through and step into and have a deeper conversation with themselves and the things that they're afraid of. Because we're all friggin' afraid. We need to remember that we are our own spiritual teacher. And this is why it's important to connect to self. And if you don't know who you are, and at a real deep sovereign level, and at a level that knows that you stand for against racism, or against equal rights, then you need to be starting to have challenging conversations with friends, or you need to start really deepening into that practice and supporting those that you can help shift into that vibration. You know, for many, many years, my dad, he is 82. He never ever liked Chinese or Japanese people, and that was because of his belief in how he was brought up, you know, in regards to as a child. And you know, I remember growing up in that household, and if you ask my dad, he would say he's not racist. And I remember now looking at it from a different view, as an older person, you know, he actually was. And that's what kept him in fear. And that was part of his belief system. Is he still that same person today? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But like, it's about us really holding space to deepen into self, to what it is that we actually stand for, and allowing ourselves to become stronger in hearing her voice. So, and being careful to discern the level of influence that others are actually having over us and their viewpoint. And if you feel sticky about something and think you're obligated to do it because it's out of a relationship or a connection or something like that, you need to start asking yourself and asking your heart and finding sacred time to connect to your heart and ask, is this truly aligned for my highest good? I know there's lots of you watching. And as much as this feels light and fluffy and yeah, oh wow, good. If anyone right now said they were not going through something right now in this planet, on this earth at this time, I would say bullshit. Because we're all going through something. We're all got to break down some myth or some barrier or some story. And so the Great Awakening isn't COVID-19. Isn't, you know, that is a soft opening for us starting to connect to ourselves at a deeper sovereign spiritual level. It's all about heart sovereignty. Your heart is the greatest spiritual teacher that you have, and it also gives us the greatest guidance of what it is that we're needing, or what it is that we need to look through or look at. And sovereignty stands for inner power. You can't get that from anyone else. You have to cultivate and activate that. So remember, we're all traveling through something right now on this earth plane. We're all broken. We all need to break down something, our own internal walls, myths and stories, and meet humanity where they're at. We don't have to agree, but we can lovingly disagree. We can connect and still embrace them as one. And that's all I want to say today. Have a fabulous Monday, people.